Flames Crystal, the prologue of the whole story. It was the year 1814. Our neighboring galaxy, known as Andromeda, had a system of 7 planets called the Sunless System. In that star system, there was a war between the locals that lived on the biggest planet, Folar. It was the 6th from their sun, and the plant-related species that lived on the 3rd planet from the sun, called Plantilia. They called their star the Sunla, or Sun for short, coincidentally the same nickname as our sun and our galaxy and our solar system. On Folar ruled King Flare. He was very good to his people, who were all made out of literal fire. These are the flame species. King Flare had a son named Deathflaw. The war ended at peace, but one day Deathflaw's childhood best friend created a machine that intakes electric energy and turns that energy and uses it to create portals anywhere in the universe. This machine his friend named Bommy made was called the Electroract. Many years later, in 2014, Deathflaw became King of Folar, and he had the most desire he had. Deathflaw craved for being king of the whole Sunless system. Deathflaw would do anything to take over the star system. He even willingly killed his father, past king at Flare. Deathflaw slaughtered his own people. Deathflaw wanted to be with the current queen of Plantilia. Her name was Plantla. One day, Deathflaw kidnapped Plantla, and then they had a son named Skill. In Folarian, Skill means a bad flame. Deathflaw named Skill that way because to him, Skill was a disgrace to Folar. He was a disgrace because Skill was part plant and human, although his physical appearance and possible powers Skill had to wield was still fire and flame. Deathflaw put Skill in a small automatic flying spaceship and sent Skill to the 4th planet from the sun. It was the most Earth-like as well. Even the name of this Earth-related planet was similar to ours. It was called Eris. A long time ago, well before our own solar system was formed, was a fire god called Twisted Fusion. In Sunless System legends and past ancient artifacts locals discovered on Folar, it is said Twisted Fusion created the entire galaxy of Andromeda and the elements such as fire, earth, wind, lightning, and water. Twisted Fusion and past carvings that people discovered said that this fire god created the 5 planets, all each having different elements, and adding 2 extra planets with no elements, one closest to the sunless star and one farthest. One ancient story said that Twisted Fusion had an evil double that looked exactly like him. The imposter defeated the real Twisted Fusion, and the imposter was responsible for one day creating an evil life-form version of himself. Many locals speculated that the imposter's creation is Deathflaw himself. The Flames never had such an evil king before. Not only the people on Folar were scared, every other life form in existence was scared. Everyone in the Sunless System wished to be united and stop Deathflaw. Shortly after Skill was born, Deathflaw killed Plantla, ironically. Deathflaw had a strong hatred to his son. Deathflaw went to the planet called Electroland. It was home to the element of lightning. Deathflaw enslaved all the Electrians and got the Electroract and opened the portal back to Folar, where he would train and torture the civilians of Electroland. Deathflaw now had an army to raid. now had an army to raid Eris. Hold up a minute. Deathflaw now had an army to raid Eris and search for skill. Then it was 2029, 8 years later. Skill was now 15 years old. It is also said, if a flame touches a hidden crystal, hidden in a sunless system, possibly on a planet with a cave in it, that flame can resurrect Twisted Fusion. I will now look at every single star and planet in order. All the stars in order. Sunlaw. Now for all the planets in order. Corvix, Electroland, Plantilia, Eris, Hydrote, Folar, and Icilia. And not to mention the asteroid fields outside of the system. Every planet, except for the remaining 2 at the front and back, all have an element. And that was the prologue.